everybody, and welcome to my little webcast today. My name is Deborah Smith, and I am the owner of Green Pirate Juice, which is a plant-based catering company from Brooklyn, New York. I'm also a certified holistic health coach. And what I do for my clients is I help them to build a better relationship with their bodies and food choices in order to come into greater alignment with their goals, their personal desires in life. We work together to plan not only menus, but lifestyle choices that really tweak things in life and kind of make it easier to achieve personal goals. So I'm really committed in this moment to creating solutions for people around health and wellness now that we're in kind of a new reality. And I'm going to be working on a series of webcasts, whether it's a webinar or live videos where you can write into me and ask questions, anything related to nutrition, health and wellness, and just making simple and effective choices that can help you cope in this very stressful moment. So I am here today with April Rameé, who is a master herbalist. She's the CEO of Antler Alchemy and the founder of the Botanical Mystery School. And I'm so grateful, April. Thank you for joining me for this first video interview. Very excited about it. So yeah, we're in a really difficult moment together collectively where we're suddenly reorganizing our entire lives around this common enemy, right? This COVID-19 virus. And that's obviously come to teach us a lesson, many lessons. And I think it's causing a lot of discomfort in the world. It's causing a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety for people. We're suddenly separated from one another, and society as we once knew it, we're having to rewrite the story of how we survive and how we can thrive, hopefully, and just how we get through this moment. So it's become clear that people are managing a lot of a high amount of stress, a high amount of anxiety, and that can have really adverse or negative effects on our health. So I asked April to do this interview with me today so that she could share with us some of her insights and wisdom about how in this moment we can connect deeper with herbs and plant medicine to manage and or cope with some of this additional stress and anxiety that everyone is experiencing. So I personally have been working with April for many years, almost a decade. She's coached me through a ton of how I can add herbs and specific plant medicine into my own practices. She's helped me to craft herbal and medicinal supplements for my coaching practice, where I actually get to share that with my clients. And so she's a trusted resource for me in my long-time practice. So I'm really grateful to have her on this video. And yeah, I just want to say that when I started to take a look at how I was responding to this crisis and my own practices, I took a step back. Okay, what's causing anxiety and what's relieving anxiety? And the one thing I did notice that has to do with herbs is I relish this moment towards the end of my day. I always think, I'm going to make a cup of tea. I'm going to have an herbal cup of tea and I'm going to sit quietly. And I just noticed that the power of that steeping cup of herbs in my daily routine and how much calm that brings into my life. And I started thinking like, wow, we should be looking to the plants at this moment. We should be looking to the herbs as teachers, and we should be getting closer in community. I mean, that's what the earth is telling us, right? Listen to the plants, listen to the earth. So I immediately thought of talking with April, and she agreed to do this call. So without further ado, excuse my hand. I'm really excited to introduce April. April, thank you so much for being here and speaking with us this morning. I would love to, just before we dive into questions that I have for you about how we can communicate with herbs and use them in our everyday practice, I would love to just ask you a few questions about your background so that my listeners and audience can get to know you the way that I do.
Yes.
So first of all, I just want to ask, how long have you been studying herbal medicine, and kind of just where you've studied and how you got into this?
Perfect. Yeah, so I have been officially like every day studying herbal medicine since 2013. I realized that I wanted to be an herbalist in 2007. I had like this huge wake up call. I was an accountant working for decades in the public accounting world, just grinding. And I realized that I had a meeting at a school where you could get a master's in herbalism. And I walked in and I saw their library. I've always been a lover of books. And I said, I've never seen any of these books before. And I realized that you could have a master's in herbalism, and it just made so much sense to me. I said, that's what I want to do with my life. And it brought back all of these memories of me growing up and being connected to the plants and being out in the wilderness and hiking in the woods and just really enjoying and talking to different plants and herbs and trees. And so that really brought me back to kind of my place. And yeah, so that was like where I started to begin to kind of really reawaken and open to the plants again in 2007, but avidly every single day since 2013 is when I started.
And I know, do you have a specific teacher that you work with? Or I know you've traveled around the world and done like intensive, I'm staying here for the next 3 to 6 months and learning about this plant or this herb. I know that over the years you've told me about travels and stuff, but if you want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my first 2 years I spent with my teacher, Ashley Latecki, Ellen Boss of Sky House Herbals. I spent time with her 2 years learning clinical. So I started off in a very clinical fashion, where clinical means like actually learning how to work with people one-on-one in a more like herbal medicine type of way. And I then went on to study in different places in Peru, in Bolivia, in Costa Rica a little bit, Mexico, and just really made it a point that whenever I traveled to be really learning about plants and herbs, and then all over the United States with different elders. And then I continue to learn all the time. I'm in classes, so Seja Popham's another teacher, Matthew Wood, Margie Flint. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So just to get like, for any listeners out there who maybe aren't as studied and mastered as you, and even for myself, can you just break it down for us? What is herbal medicine and why is it important?
Mm-hmm. So herbal medicine, we like to not call it medicine, first of all, because we're not doctors. We can't like pretend that we're doctors because we don't have that degree. And there is, though, the side of working with herbal medicines, and I like to call them herbal remedies, and they're like herbal allies, to really kind of clear up that word medicine.
Okay.
When you work with a person that's in the clinical fashion, that understands and really knows herbal remedies and how to work with the plants, they will be working on it in a holistic manner. So I work with herbal remedies in a holistic way. Where that differs from current allopathic medicine is where there's like this remedy for this, right? So I have this symptom, so then there's this. What do I take for this? I have a headache, so what do I take for that? Whereas in holistic herbal remedies and the way of looking at a person, we look at the whole person. We look at the whole entity, the whole being, the whole environment, the reasonings why the headaches might be happening or whatever symptoms are happening. And that will educate me and tell me which herbs will work for the symptoms. Because you could have 5 different people having, I don't know, let's say gas, and they could all be from different reasons, one could
right.
be
And I run into that a lot with kind of helping people craft a diet. It's not, one diet does not work for every body. We all have very different metabolisms, very different energetic expressions in the world, and we have very different needs.
Exactly.
So it's really interesting because I'll have clients all the time look for that, like, what's the solution here? What's the one stop remedy that I can just take this like magic pill and solve my whatever problem? And I always say, no, we have to sit down and talk.
Mm-hmm.
What's your day like? When's your first meal? How's your sleep? Are you drinking water? It's so many variables. So
many variables. Yeah. And it's a holistic approach, definitely. So that's pretty much, the herbal realm that I work in. I mean, there are other people who are like, oh, this herb for that. But if you want to really work on things and you're thinking about it in a more holistic manner.
So basically would you say then that this is maybe a naive question, but just to clarify, that every different plant or herb really does have a different energetic sort of healing quality?
Yes. So you can imagine each herb is like a new person that you meet. So there's all, like, for example, we are known as human beings, Homo sapiens, right? That's the overarching title of us walking around on Earth. And yet there's billions of us, and we're all acting differently, and we all have different ways of being, and we all operate different ways in our life. The same thing with the plants and the herbs. There's herbs, and then there's the herbs, you know, then there's like each one and their personality and what they do and what they like to
Yeah.
interact with and who they like to interact with and who are their herbal allies and who are their friends. You know, there are people, I have students who will take my courses, and you know, 5 of them will love this one herb and 6 of them will just be like, I don't know, never again, I don't
Wow.
know. And it's because
Interesting.
it's like, you know, it's who do they get along.
I guess my question is there an herb or a plant in this moment that you could share with us, or multiple, that specifically have a relationship with healing anxiety or stress?
Hmm. So there are many different herbs for sure. I'm going to answer this in a realm of like what people might have available in their kitchen, what I think is one of my favorite ones, and then just kind of some other ones that are maybe a little bit more you might have, you might not have.
Okay.
That way people have something accessible wherever they are. Rosemary and thyme right now in this moment is like a really great herb, and they're kitchen herbs that you might already have, and oregano that are really good for immunity and also for calming down. Rosemary is especially really good for the brain and the mind and helping with memory and calming things down. So being able to like
Rosemary.
have a pot, yeah, have a pot on your stove and take your herbs that you have in your kitchen of rosemary, thyme, and oregano and just throw it on there in the water, like let it boil a little bit, put a top on it so that the steam and everything can simmer, turn it off and just let it simmer for a little bit, and then take the top off of it, and then you can put like a towel over your head and let it steam onto you, or you can just
Wow.
let it steam out into the air, and then you have aromatherapy with plants without getting essential oils, because they have so many essential oils, volatile oil, we call them volatile oils, so many volatile oils already in them. So you can do that. You can do that with pine or conifers that are outside in your house. So depending on where you are, I know that you have a lot of people that live in New York and
Yeah.
the upstate. So you could get like pine tree or some conifers, and you can make a pot of water and put it on there and let them steep everywhere.
Wow. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And so
So
that
literally
calms.
just making like an aroma steam of the herb can naturally calm down the room, the vibration that you're in. That's amazing.
It will add antiviral properties. It will add, you know, those volatile oils will be going into the air and will be working with you and healing. And you smell that, like, you know what it's like when you smell like fresh pine, right? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
or when you
So
smell like a lemon that was just cut open, like there's a sense of like zest and like it wakes you up, but it doesn't wake you up in a sense like coffee and you get jittery. It just wakes you up and you're kind of calmed and centered as well.
yes, that's
Yeah. So
so
those are like really,
rosemary, thyme, and oregano.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Those are really,
exciting.
really great kitchen herbs for right now. And then, you know, pine and conifers. And then one of my other favorite ones is holy basil, and some people know it as tulsi. So for those that like, you know Tulsi or know holy basil, they know. And if you don't know, you might have it. Like it's one of those ones that's like yogi tea or like whatever. You might check your ingredients on your tea containers, and you might have some holy basil or Tulsi. And it's an adaptogenic herb. It's in the mint family, and it's native to India, and it's a calming and kind of energizing. So you can use it to go to sleep, and you can use it when you wake up.
That's amazing. Holy basil, you can get it in a tea form, like in the store account over the counter. Or
Uh-huh.
at this point, I suppose people are not going to stores, so maybe you can order it from Amazon or something as a tea
You
that
could
you could
order it from
consume.
Amazon. And I think like yogi tea or like India tea or something has it, like where you can get it in a tea
Just
bag,
its
very
own tea
small.
bag.
Mhm.
So
And
that's
then I would say one more thing is that for those who may be listening and are a little bit maybe like know a little bit more herbs, lemon balm is another one that's really
lemon balm. I'm making a list here so I can type this up.
good.
And that's another herb that you can buy dried and steep it in hot water or make a tea from it.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to get back to that question about process of how you like actually consume. But I wanted to ask you, because I'm actually a third year sort of novice gardener, even though I've been working with fresh fruits and fresh vegetables for literally 20 years, and like, you know, really studied nutrition and kind of the the properties of micronutrients. Growing my own food is new to me. And we've done really basic stuff in my garden, but I want to have an herb garden in addition to my like tomatoes and squash and cucumbers. And I've been thinking about, it's spring, and we're in a really unique situation in this moment where maybe a lot of people are suddenly having to stay inside. Is it possible for us to grow these herbs ourselves, like on a windowsill or something? And if so, could you recommend like maybe 2 or 3 that are just really easy to grow at home, or are they all easy? I don't know that much about growing your own herbs.
I will say that when you get into growing your herbs, I think one of the most things that are kind of one of the elements that people feel like they have to get over is like, they're like, I don't have a green thumb. I don't know how to grow anything. And I think that it's more about having play and like experimentation and realizing that life happens. And so when life happens, death also happens. So I think sometimes people get really turned off or scared because they're afraid something might die, and then they feel really bad about it. And then it's more when a plant decides to not live anymore, it's more of a learning experience. Like, okay, well, maybe they had too much light, did they have too much water, and not like I'm a bad person, I can't grow anything type
Yeah.
thing. But it happens, like it happens.
That's actually so helpful to hear, because I'm coming into this question with some resistance. I'm like, I'm like, I want to try it. But again, the unsaid thing there was, I'm afraid I'll fail,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
AKA kill the herbs.
yeah, and you might, and that's okay. Like,
Okay.
let's be realistic here, it could happen, right? And like, that's one of the things that deter people from attempting. And it's one of those things that it's like, that's okay, there are so many seeds, and it's not like I don't like to say that like it's a lack of compassion. You can have compassion, you can mourn, you could be like, oh my god, I didn't do this right, but like, to move forward and attempt again is what I'm trying to get at, is that it's like, it's one of these things that you have to learn to do, you have to try. So windowsill herbs, they say cilantro, dill, rosemary is another one, but it likes a little bit of a dry climate. And I say experiment. Like, if you want to try something, go for it.
Like
The main thing
mint.
is to look at what is the light requirements and the water requirements,
Got it.
and how long it's supposed to take. Some herbs just really enjoy being outside, so it can be challenging.
But the basic recipe for growing anything is sunlight and water. And
Yes.
so if you decide that you want to grow your own, or like if I want to try this, which I might do this weekend, um, go for it, plant something in some soil, put it in the sunlight, read the basic, like find out what that plant directly calls for in terms of the amount of sunlight and water, and try to stick to that,
Yeah,
and just
exactly.
be
And most of
comfortable.
the time, the thing is people overwater and
Okay.
put too much sun. So
Okay. So just,
depending on the plant, it needs more sun, and then it can actually need less. And then a lot of the times after it's already become started to grow and become something, people tend to overwater things. So it's more of just like watching out for overwatering and soggy soil. Then the roots will get rotted, and then they won't be able to grow. So sometimes a little bit of dry helps.
that's super helpful. Thank you so much for all this information. I really appreciate you sharing all with us. So I have a question about, just a quick question about like the different ways. I mean, you just gave me an example that I hadn't thought of, like just putting dry herbs in a pot on my own stovetop and just steaming. I always think of tea. Is there any other like methods of ingesting herbs that you could, like, I guess cooking, but I'll
Mhm.
let you answer, like how can we consume, or how is it best for us to work with herbs?
That's a great question. So there's a lot of different ways to work with herbs, and it depends on the herb, and it depends on the application, and it depends on what you're wanting. So, and also the constituents of the plants, because sometimes plants really work well in alcohol. So then you'll have a tincture, which we call a maceration, and that's something that you are able to um, have in like a jar, and then there's a dropper, and then you're able to put underneath your tongue and do sublingually, and having it in alcohol helps dissipate into the bloodstream immediately, so you're getting the herbal remedy right away. There's also a thing of glycerates. So you have like more of a vegetable glycerate. So there's no alcohol for those who don't want to have alcohol. However, it does take out different constituents. So it'll change the dynamic of the plants, right?
Interesting.
Then there's tea. And then you can have honeys. So you could like take honey. Honey is a great preservative. So if you put plants in honey and let them chill in there for a little while, then you can also have like a medicinal honey.
Wow.
Sometimes you can grind it up into a really, really fine powder and have it in the honey, or you could put like full things in the honey and then strain it in a very like, without boiling it. It's a very delicate process. And then you can put things in vinegar. So things like shrubs are great, like summertime when you have all the fruit and everything. You can macerate your fruit with a little bit of sugar, and then you can add some vinegar to preserve it. And then
Wow.
you have this kind of like kombucha vinegary drink that you can add to like soda water or your regular water or like a cocktail or something. And then you can sip
Wow. This is
it.
so interesting.
Yeah, and then a lot of the times old remedies of herbal medicine were created in a alcoholic, like in an alcoholic manner that people would drink, like elderflower.
Right. There's all these like old time, like sort of like craft cocktails that have these syrups in them that are the
Yeah,
old medicinal syrups.
exactly. Yeah. So there's so many different ways, and it just begins to think about what way do you like and what flavor palette do you love and what are you trying to attempt, and are you trying to like just enjoy flavor, or are you trying to like
Yeah.
impact some health stuff or something?
Yeah, it was just so interesting. So for all you listeners at home that are currently quarantined and you want your quarantini, you can put elderberry flower or something in it. No, that's really interesting. That's amazing to think about all the different ways that we can kind of connect with the plants in that way.
I love
Um,
that, by the way, quarantini. I hadn't heard that, so that's wonderful.
that's coping mechanisms. So let's see, I have more questions for you if that's okay.
Of
So
course.
yeah, so I mean, I guess, not everybody is going to go out. I mean, everyone listening to this should realize, I hope that you realize that we can do small, simple things in our own homes with what's already in our spice rack, basically, to connect with the powerful healing qualities of these plants. And I know that in the past, I've reached out to you with very specific needs and said, like, I want to do a really specific cleanse on my, intestines or my liver. I'm doing a juice cleanse and I want to supplement that with herbs that are going to clean and purify. Can you help me put teas together for that? You have basically, as a coach, you have worked with me one-on-one to coach me as to how to combine herbs and ingest them for my own personal journey. And I guess I wanted to open it up and ask you, like, how in this moment, now we're in this crazy moment where, you know, we're living through our connections on the internet and we can't really go out in public. And I know you used to host, public events and have, your gardening and herbal teaching classes, but how can we now work with you or connect with you to learn what is the right blend for me or what is the right path for me in this moment?
Hmm. Yeah. So if there, so Antler Alchemy, that part of my business is very much a client-based business. So that is where I work with people individually, one-on-one. And the way that I do that is I've taken it into more of a coaching style, because not only am I trained in herbs, but I'm a yoga teacher. I've been meditation teacher. I have ways of being able to help remove blocks in people's lives. And I've moved all this information into one way of working with me, where there's a real 7-week deep dive process. And that is where, if someone's really serious about being innovative, about healing themselves, about seeing how and understanding how plants and herbs are able to catapult them to the next version of themselves and integrate what they're working on in their lives into their daily expression, And this is just one of my favorite ways of working with people, because we really get to uncover things that are holding people back. And like, you and I, we've been working, if I could say a little bit, you and I have been working for such a long time together, and I've seen so many leaps and bounds in your life and changes, and it's been amazing. And I've also been reciprocating and receiving from your coaching and being able to change my life in so many ways. So there's been such a great given receiving there. And yeah, so that's just like one way when you're working with me one-on-one. And then in that, there is a customized herbal remedy. So either that looks like tinctures or teas or salves, or, there's so many different ways of herbal remedies, as I mentioned earlier. So it's really about discovering with that person what's really needed in their life and how to make that work.
So
So
if
I've worked.
people, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If
No,
people
go for it.
wanted to connect with you, to get in touch, to kind of form this relationship, is that would that be through your website?
Yeah, and I do all of this online. So it's through
Great.
an online platform. Yeah. And so yeah, because that's the way I've been, luckily that's the way I've been conducting this for a little while. And I was really grateful that a lot of my in-person clients were willing to move into an online format. So
Amazing. And that's antleralchemy.com. I'll post that link.
mhm.
Amazing. So I guess I had a question that you just sort of answered, but I want to extend it to the Botanical Mystery School, because I know that that's something that you are currently offering. And I just want to ask about that. I don't know that much about it. So if you could share how you're working in this moment with the world. I know you have a course that's called Herbs as Teachers.
Mhm.
And I'm so fascinated by this. I feel like if ever there was a time when we needed to know more about how we could learn from plants, like this is that moment. This is that moment where the earth is screaming out, like nature is dominating you right now. Like learn, people, listen to the plants, listen to nature, learn where you have fallen out of step, learn
Mhm.
how you can get back in alignment. This is our moment to wake up and realize that we are organic matter and that we need to be in alignment with I just feel it every moment of every day. I want to be helpful to people. So can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about what Herbs as Teachers is and just how we can learn more about that?
Yeah, so Herbs as Teachers is a way to work with me. So this is more of the student format where you're deepening your awareness and your understanding of the herbal realm, and you're being able to go into your own internal landscape basically. And we do this online in a digital classroom format, live meetings with the students where we're able to discuss what is going on and how we're feeling. So it's a month-long daily practice, and the daily practice looks like a full plant immersion. So what happens is I send you the plants that you are going to work on with everyone else. It's like a little apothecary kit basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then every day you're ingesting the same plant for a week and journaling about that experience. And what happens is the people that do this and join in, they begin to learn about how that plant works with them. So then they're able to have a real true knowledge, because it's one thing to like read a book and be like, oh, this plant can do this and this and this and this. But when you begin to form a relationship with that plant and you have that like internal like digestion and you're feeling how it works with you, then you begin to really understand the properties of that plant, how it works and who it might be good for. Like and then you form your own relationship with that. And so I'm guiding the container and keeping a safe container for everyone to go into this deep discovery basically in the mystery of the plants. And then we're sharing that, but the herbs are really the teachers. And so through this course, my goal is to help open people up to understanding that they can embark upon this study themselves or go deeper with me. But either way, it's just so possible, it's available. And just to get herbal allies starting you in that space of understanding. And
So
I
would
love
you,
what
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love what you said about like, it's time right now to get back out into nature. And I guess the message that I've been receiving too from the plants is that it's not too late, and it's never too late. Like, they're here and they're ready, and they've been waiting, and they have been waiting. And like, one of the things I love to share is like, there's this old Native American story, and I never tell the whole thing, but I just tell like the kind of like important parts.
Hmm.
And not that I don't ever tell the whole thing. It's just like, let's just keep it short. But basically, there was a point where the human kingdom needed to be saved. And the animal kingdom, the sky nation, the sky kingdom, and all these other kingdoms were like, let the humans just do whatever. And the plant kingdom was like, we'll be here for them. It will make it our job to offer what they need. And the plant kingdom is doing that for all the animals. Every animal that you consume has eaten some type of plant at some point. If they haven't, they ate something that ate a plant. And we all are here and eating, and like, as you know, like, most things are plant-based, and herbs are a part of that plant realm, and they're just a portion, and they offer just as much medicinal value.
Amazing. So for the Botanical Mystery School, would you say is it's for people who want to themselves become herbalists eventually, or could it be for somebody who is it more, let me see if I can clarify my question. Would you say it's more for people who want to become students, like an herbalist students, or could it just be for someone like me who wants to learn more about my own relationship to plants and not necessarily to teach it, but just to use it in my everyday life?
So it's both.
Okay.
It's definitely for those who just want to be able to use it in their everyday life and begin to understand. Then it's good for those who are interested in becoming a herbalist to get this basic knowledge underneath and how to understand how to work with plants, so that when they go into more deeper education, that they already have a basis of like how to work with the plants. However, I will say that I think learning about the plants, no matter what your goal and your intention in life is, this is why they're here, is to help keep you in that intention, because you need your health, you need your wellness, you need vitality, you need to be like jazzed and excited about life, and you need to show up. And what better way than being connected with the herbs and nature, which shows up every single day without fail in their true passion, doing what they need to do, and not wavering. You know, there's that statement that like, a rose is a rose. You put that seed in the ground for a rose, and you don't expect like nettles to show up. You expect a rose to show up. And that's what like the herbs and plants teach you. It's like, you plant that seed, and you are that, and you become that, and you're fueling yourself with plants and herbs to become what it is that you really want. So this isn't just like, oh, if I want to be an herbalist, or oh, if I want to know about plants. This is like, oh, I want to live my life. I want to live my passion. I want to live my dream. I want to be the person that I want to be in the world. So therefore, I need to ingest what's going to spur me in that direction and fuel me and feed me so that I can show up.
I love that so much. I love that you just said that, because I think about that so much when I'm working with my clients. That same thing, like, people ask me all the time, like, why should I do a juice cleanse? Like, because a lot of times people come to work with me related to, they're either already sick or they have a weight issue that they want to manage, and they think about their food choices around like solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I always talk about the properties of whole foods and whole plant-based molecules, like the molecular reality of things. And I always say wellness is at a cellular level. Like at the cellular level, we're these human organisms, and every tissue in the whole body, every bone, muscle, every thought in our head, all of the things going on that create us are molecular and structurally. It's a cellular journey.
Yes.
And so I love that you just talked about the integrity of like, a rose is a rose, and a plant, you know, you plant that seed of intention, and you have integrity with that desire in the world. And how the plants can teach us to just show up and stay in alignment with our integrity. That's such a gift of a lesson. Thank you for saying that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we learn more about Botanical Mystery School if we're interested?
Yes. So I have a link in my website, Antler Alchemy. So it's ANTLER Alchemy. Antlers like the deer because it's one of my favorite animals. And then there's Herbs as Teachers. You can also book a discovery call with me, and that's on my consultation page. And it's free 15-minute conversation with me to talk about where you're at, if you're interested in the school, if you're interested in working with me as a client, if you're just want to talk to me and have a question, I highly suggest come talk to me. Like, let's have a conversation.
So the discovery call could be for anybody who's just interested in learning a little bit more about what you're doing or what's coming next.
And anything. Yeah.
Amazing.
The school and the client.
And when does Herbs as Teachers begin again?
Herbs as Teachers begins April 1st, and it goes through April 29th on Wednesday nights.
Oh, so you meet in person on Wednesday nights, but the rest of the program is like you coach them through a daily, month-long intensive.
Yes. So Wednesday nights we are meeting live on Zoom as a classroom setting. Yeah. Amazing. And then I have different, like each week there's different things that I go into. So we're going to go into digestion, mental health, the nervous system, and rituals.
All right. Incredible. So book a discovery call with April so you can learn about this program. That's like such a wonderful offering, April. I'm so happy that you're here to teach us. And I want to just give you a chance to, like, if there's any last final words that you want to say to the people watching today. We talked about, you know, some specific herbs that we can use to kind of relieve anxiety and stress. We talked about windowsill gardening and kind of what the plants are here to teach us. And I just want to ask you if you have anything else you want to share or that the plants want to share through you
Let's see.
Before we wrap up.
The plants want to say that they are excited. They're excited for what's happening, not in the way of crisis or danger, but they're excited that the natural rhythms of life is still going and that the natural rhythms of life will never stop. And they're excited that we are waking up to the natural rhythm and that we are going to be, that we are and now are consciously working on becoming a part of this natural rhythm so that everything can be in harmony. So they're really excited to harmonize with us at this moment.
I got chills. I needed to hear that. So thank you very much for taking a moment to share that. I hope everyone that listens today is feeling excited to work with some herbs. I know I am. I really am looking forward to a couple of these things. I'm excited to plant some things, and I'm excited to try different methods of ingesting herbs and just listen and pay closer attention to what you just spoke about, like those natural rhythms. I really feel like, especially with this concept of being kind of prisoners in our own homes, this idea that we're currently under a quarantine and that we're not supposed to go out, which I don't like to talk that much about because it brings on anxiety and stress. I think about the blessings every day. I count my blessings. But I do want to say, let's find as many ways to connect with nature. And especially even, I mean, maybe right now it is just through emptying the oregano shaker from your drawer into a pot of boiling water because you can't actually go out to the store. But that's a baby step to that moment when those doors are open and we're free to roam freely again, and we're growing things. Like, let's plan baby steps to get back to this relationship with plants and herbs and let them teach us, to guide us there.
Mm-hmm. And we're already in the nature of it all because it's spring equinox, everything's changing. The nature is happening around. You just have to look outside your window and you're already a part of it. You know, one of my favorite things to say is no matter where you are, no matter where you're located, if you're in a city or you're not, like, you're not outside of nature because there's no way to escape living on Earth. You're here. You're in it. It's just a matter of, are you going to see it and participate, or are you going to pretend like it doesn't exist?
Amen. I can't say anything better than that. Oh man, thank you so much for this time today. I'm very excited to share this with everybody that I have on my mailing list. People out there, please visit April's website. It's antleralchemy.com. I'll post a link. and check out her Botanical Mystery School and the Herbalist Teachers course, and get into your kitchens and get in touch with some herbs and some teas, and use them in this moment to be, as she said, allies, to help us to balance and to cope with an unexpected, exorbitant amount of anxiety and stress, and just to get into our bodies and even more in alignment with what we're here to do, and our integrity and our desire. We have an opportunity in this moment. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to continue to come to you with these juicy webcasts, and I'm so grateful for all my listeners and watchers. And you guys just have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves, and connect with April through a discovery call. And as always, connect with me through my website. Send me an email. If you have questions that you want to ask, I'm going to be doing some live question and answer this week. So do not hesitate to ask me a question. I will do my best to answer it. And for now, that is all. We thank you so much for being here with us today. We look forward to seeing you again on the internet. And April, thank you. Have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Ciao, everybody. Be stay safe.